Welcome to another Patent Baron podcast. Please stay tuned for the Patent Baron, international lawyer and U.S. patent attorney J. Baron Lesperance.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Patent Baron podcast and YouTube channel. So today I'm going to talk about branding and how important that is for businesses of all shapes and sizes. Branding really identifies where your goods and services are coming from. And most people think about that, about trademarks and copyrights and how those things interact. So if you're looking to really label where your products are coming from, so that people can find and recognize your goods and services, then trademarks are a very good way to do that. So what is a trademark? Well, just to review, a trademark identifies, again, the source of goods and services. I like to use the example of many, many centuries ago when artisans used to make swords and pottery and so forth. They used to put a mark on those that would identify who made those various articles. And this way, when those goods were moving around the world, they could be identified. And, and even back then, I think there was probably people copying those marks and making counterfeit products. So some things never change, as they say. So branding can take a number of forms. It can take forms of text and words, and whether those words are descriptive or new or in different languages, those are all things to consider. One example that I really like to point out to people is the pharmaceutical industry. They typically name their products various drugs. They create words that don't exist. They're not in any language. And because they advertise them so frequently, people remember them very well, like Celebrex or Wegovy and various others. And, they're really a good example for people that are looking to develop a brand, because you run into trouble when you try to trademark words that are descriptive, that really talk about your goods and services, like speedy cleaners and so forth. So if you're looking to brand something, that's a good role model to follow, is to create something unique that doesn't exist in any language. And then, of course, do a search for that. And the trademark office has recently updated their website, so it's much easier for people to search. That's very helpful. Thank you, trademark office. And that's something that is a good idea for people to do. And even if you haven't done this, it's a good idea to see what's out there. I was talking about examples for people that are trying to brand and start something new, but what if you're already existing? Well, you want to make sure you're not stepping on someone's toes. And that also can be done doing trademark searches at the trademark office. And it's a good first step. You want to see what's out there. A number of people have reached out to me over the years, and they've said, well, I have an LLC in a particular state, and that means I'm good, right? And I typically will say, no, that doesn't really mean you're good. That's a good thing to have, but it doesn't mean that you have a federal trademark. And it doesn't mean that you're not infringing on someone's trademark, or that you're at least confusingly similar. So it's really a good thing to do if you haven't done this, is to search and see what is out there. And if someone else is using your mark, are they using it in your goods and services area or not? Just to take a step back, the trademark office categorizes 45 goods and services, and those can range from clothing to educational services and so forth. So if someone's using a mark in one area and someone's using that mark in another area, the level of confusion can be there. And it's not necessarily a defined line if there is confusion, but it's something that you need to consider. Will someone think that this other entity is your entity, and if the goods are related or not? And sometimes consumers can make connections that others may not necessarily do. So that's something to consider when you're looking at, if you're using trademarks, to make sure that there aren't other people out there that might be taking some of your customers away from you, or vice versa. Sometimes clients have reached out to me and they've gotten a call from someone thinking they're sometimes an irate customer and complaining about a particular thing, and they have no idea who this person is and they haven't done business with them. But it's because their businesses are very similar and they are in the unfortunate situation now of being in a potential trademark uh, dispute where there could be some confusion between the two and who's been using it first. So that's the other, I guess, branch that you could talk about on the trademark side is that it's a use it or lose it, is the way I describe it. The trademark office wants people to register trademarks, of course, pay the fees, but continue to use them and to show that you are using them over the years in commerce routinely. And they don't want people, especially with a lot of resources, just to sit on trademarks. And that's why sometimes trademarks go abandoned and other people can pick them up, because you can probably imagine that a company with a lot of resources could do that. They could just sit on a lot of trademarks and use that to keep competitors away, particularly when there's some trendy term, let's say, for a particular thing. Whether it's it doesn't even matter what it is, but you can certainly imagine as terms become trendy, someone could prevent that. So that's another thing to talk about when it comes to trademarks is that, are you using it in commerce? Are you using it consistently? And how long have you been using it? Those are all important things to consider. You can, of course, use a mark, but not register it yet. You can just start to use it in commerce. As again, assuming you have the clearance to do so. That's something that people like me can help you with. But I often advise clients, if they're just starting out, if they have been using a mark, and then to put PM after that mark. There's many examples of that, but it's typically after the mark. And at least let people know that you're using it as a trademark. And then we can talk about, is it okay for you to be using this? Can we protect it? What steps can we take? So these are all important things to think about for someone that's looking to brand, that's looking to make sure their brands are in a good state of affairs. Because if you're looking to attract investors, they're going to want to make sure that those logos and catchphrases and so forth are protected and don't have any issues with infringement or disputes involving those marks. So again, it depends what stage you're at, but it's certainly something to consider. If you're looking to come out with a new set of products or a new product line or a new group or division or other element of your company and business, then you want to make sure that you can do that before you engage a lot of marketing people, before you start printing different types of materials and putting up websites and registering domain names. Really the first step is to look towards, is that available? How does the field look? Do you have some freedom to maneuver, or is it a crowded area? And then you may want to shift gears and move into a different area. So those are just some of the things to talk about in the trademark world. But I certainly hope that you have a good idea of it. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My website's patentbaron.com. And thank you for joining me today.